Chapter 13 of She and Allan. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Lars Rolander. She and Allan by H. Rider Haggard. Chapter 13. Allan Hears a Strange Tale. For some minutes I remained before those curtains until, had it not been for something electric in the air which got into my bones, a kind of force that perhaps in my fancy only seemed to pervade the place, I should certainly have grown bored. Indeed, I was about to ask my companion why he did not announce our arrival, instead of standing there like a stuck pig with his eyes shut as though in prayer or meditation, when the curtains parted and from between them appeared one of those tall waiting women whom we had seen on the previous night. She contemplated us gravely for a few moments, then moved her hand twice, once forward towards Billali as a signal to him to retire, which he did with great rapidity, and next in a beckoning fashion towards myself to invite me to follow her. I obeyed, passing between the thick curtains which she fastened in some way behind me, and found myself in the same roofed and sculptured room that I have already described. Only now there were no lamps, such light as penetrated it coming from an opening above that I could not see, and falling upon the dais at its head, also on her who sat upon the dais. Yes, there she was in her white robes and veil, the point and centre of a little lake of light, a wondrous and in a sense a spiritual vision, for in truth there was something about her which was not of the world, something that drew and yet frightened me. Still as a statue she sat, like one to whom time is of no account and who has grown weary of motion, and on either side of her yet more still, like caryatides supporting a shrine, stood two of the stately women who were her attendants. For the rest a sweet and subtle odour pervaded the chamber, which took hold of my senses, as hashish might do, which I was sure proceeded from her or from her garments, for I could see no perfumes burning. She spoke no word, yet I knew she was inviting me to come nearer, and moved forward till I reached a curious carved chair that was placed just beneath the dais, and there halted, not liking to sit down without permission. For a long while she contemplated me, for as before I could feel her eyes searching me from head to foot and as it were looking through me, as though she would discover my very soul. Then at length she moved, waving those two ivory arms of hers outwards with a kind of swimming stroke, whereon the women to right and left of her turned and glided away, I know not whither. "Sit, Allan," she said, "and let us talk, for I think we have much to say to each other. Have you slept well and eaten, though I fear that the food is but rough? Also, was the bath made ready for you?" "Yes, Ayesha," I answered to all three questions, adding, for I knew not what to say, "it seems to be a very ancient bath." "When I last saw it," she replied, "it was well enough with statues standing round it, worked by a sculptor who had seen beauty in his dreams. But in 2000 years, or is it more? The tooth of time bites deep, and doubtless like all else in this dead place it is now a ruin." I coughed to cover up the exclamation of disbelief that rose to my lips, and remarked blandly that 2000 years was certainly a long time. "When you say one thing, Allan, and mean another, your Arabic is even more vile than usual and does not serve to cloak your thought." "It may be so, Ayesha, for I only know that tongue as I do many other of the dialects of Africa, by learning it from common men. My own speech is English, in which, if you are acquainted with it, I should prefer to talk." "I know not English, which doubtless is some language that has arisen since I left the world. Perhaps later you shall teach it to me. I tell you, You anger me, whom it is not well to anger, because you believe nothing that passes my lips and yet do not dare to say so." "How can I believe one, Ayesha, who, if I understand aright, speaks of having seen a certain bath 2000 years ago, whereas 100 years are the full days of man? Forgive me therefore if I cannot believe what I know to be untrue." Now I thought that she would be very angry and was sorry that I had spoken, but as it happened she was not. "You must have courage to give me the lie so boldly, and I like courage," she said, "who have been cringed to for so long. Indeed, I know that you are brave, who have heard how you bore yourself in the fight yesterday, and much else about you. I think that we shall be friends. But seek no more." "What else should I seek, Ayesha?" I asked innocently. "Now you are lying again," she said, "who know well that no man who is a man sees a woman who is beautiful and pleases him, without wondering whether, should he desire it, she could come to love him, that is, if she be young." "Which at least is not possible if she has lived 2000 years. Then naturally she would prefer to wear a veil," I said boldly, seeking to avoid the argument into which I saw she wished to drag me. "Ah," she answered, "the little yellow man who is named Light in Darkness put that thought into your heart, I think. Oh, do not trouble as to how I know it, who have many spies here, as he guessed well enough. So a woman who has lived 2000 years must be hideous and wrinkled, must she? The stamp of youth and loveliness must long have fled from her. Of that you, the wise man, are sure. Very well. Now you tempt me to do what I had determined I would not do, and you shall pluck the fruit of that tree of curiosity which grows so fast within you. Look, Allan, and say whether I am old and hideous, even though I have lived 2000 years upon the earth, and mayhap many more." Then she lifted her hands and did something to her veil, so that for a moment, only one moment, her face was revealed, after which the veil fell into its place. I looked, I saw, and if that chair had lacked a back, I believe that I should have fallen out of it to the ground. As for what I saw, well, it cannot be described, at any rate by me, except perhaps as a flash of glory. Every man has dreamt of perfect beauty, basing his ideas of it perhaps on that of some woman he has met who chanced to take his fancy, with a few accessories from splendid pictures of Greek statues thrown in, plus a garnishment of the imagination. At any rate I have, and here was that perfect beauty multiplied by 10, such beauty that at the sight of it the senses reeled, and yet I repeat that it is not to be described. I do not know what the nose or lips were like. In fact, all that I can remember with distinctness is the splendour of the eyes, of which I had caught some hint through her veil on the previous night. Oh, they were wondrous, those eyes, but I cannot tell their colour save that the groundwork of them was black. Moreover, they seemed to be more than eyes as we understand them. They were indeed windows of the soul, out of which looked thought and majesty and infinite wisdom, mixed with all the allurements and the mystery that we are accustomed to see or to imagine in woman. Here let me say something at once. If this marvellous creature expected that the revelation of her splendour was going to make me her slave, to cause me to fall in love with her as it is called, well, she must have been disappointed, for it had no such effect. It frightened and in a sense humbled me, that is all, for I felt myself to be in the presence of something that was not human, something alien to me as a man, which I could fear and even adore as humanity would adore